Hey everyone, and welcome to this premium explainer created by Deutsch Lingo. You know, if you've ever felt like your spoken German sounds, well, kind of robotic, or maybe like you're reading straight out of a beginner's textbook, then this explainer is a total game changer for you. Today, we are taking on a massive milestone, the German relative clause, specifically focusing on the nominative case.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. Listen to this sentence. Das ist ein Laptop. Der Laptop ist teuer. I mean, sure, it's grammatically correct, but it's super choppy, right? Now listen to this. Das ist ein Laptop, der teuer ist. Hear the difference there? It just flows. It sounds so much more sophisticated. Relative clauses are literally your ultimate solution for fluency because they let you combine your ideas seamlessly.
So to get you building these kinds of fluent sentences today, here is our quick agenda. We're going to uncover the secret to fluent German, learn the 4 unbreakable rules of relative clauses, check out the pronoun cheat sheet, run through some real-world nominative examples, look at embedded relative clauses, and finally talk about how you can level up with Deutsch Lingo.
All right, part 1, the secret to fluent German.
Think of a relative clause like a beautiful architectural extension to your main sentence. It gives us extra details about a noun without forcing us to start a completely new, clunky sentence. Basically, if you introduce a noun, like a man, a car, an idea, and you want to tell me more about it right then and there, you just attach this clause. Simple as that.
Moving right along to Section 2, 4 rules of relative clauses.
Okay, there are 4 golden rules for building a relative clause, and honestly, if you follow these, your grammar is going to be flawless every single time. 1. It describes the noun you just mentioned. 2. It's introduced by a relative pronoun, which actually replaces that noun. 3. That pronoun absolutely must match the exact gender and number of the noun. And 4. It always acts as a subordinate clause.
Now let's pause on that 4th rule for a second, because this is the one that trips up English speakers the absolute most. What exactly is a subordinate clause, or as it's called in German, ein Nebensatz? Well, by definition, a Nebensatz is a dependent clause where the conjugated verb gets pushed to the very end of the sentence.
So, the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. The verb is always at the end of a relative clause. You introduce your pronoun, you give all your extra juicy info, and boom, you banish that conjugated verb right to the finish line, just before the period. Seriously, burn this rule into your memory.
Which brings us to Section 3, the pronoun cheat sheet.
And guys, here is the absolute best news you're going to hear today. You probably already know these. The relative pronouns in the nominative case are exactly the same as the definite articles you learned on day 1. So for masculine, it's der. Feminine is die. Neuter is das. And plural is die. Now, why are we using the nominative case today? Because in all of our examples, the relative pronoun functions as the subject of the new clause. It's the thing actually doing the action. And if it's the subject, well, it stays nominative. Der, die, das, die. Pretty straightforward, right?
All right, let's see this in action. Section 4, real-world nominative examples.
Let's make this a bit interactive. Say we have 2 sentences. Ich habe einen Tisch and ist alt. The noun we want to describe is the masculine word Tisch. How would you combine these into one fluid sentence using a relative clause? Take a second, think about the pronoun you need, and remember where that verb goes.
Okay, here's the answer. Ich habe einen Tisch, der alt ist. Notice exactly what happened here? We took the masculine pronoun der to replace Tisch. Then we grabbed the conjugated verb ist and kicked it all the way to the very end of the sentence. Ich habe einen Tisch, der alt ist. Beautifully done. Let's try it again, but this time let's use a feminine noun. Ich habe eine Katze. I have a cat. Sie hat oft Hunger. She is often hungry. Apply that same blueprint. What pronoun do you need for a feminine noun, and where is the verb hat gonna go?
Nailed it. It becomes Ich habe eine Katze, die oft Hunger hat. That feminine pronoun die perfectly matches Katze, and the verb hat anchors the very end of the sentence. You're effectively saying you have a cat, which is often hungry.
Let's keep this momentum going with a neuter example. Das ist das Kind, es spielt im Garten. That is the child, it's playing in the garden. Combined, we get das ist das Kind, das im Garten spielt. See? Das is our neuter relative pronoun matching kind, and spielt gets pushed all the way to that final position.
And finally, let's look at a plural scenario. Das sind Freunde. Sie arbeiten in Paris. These are friends. They work in Paris. Since Freunde is plural, we use the plural pronoun die. The result? Das sind Freunde, die in Paris arbeiten. See how, whether it's masculine, feminine, neuter, or plural, that structural blueprint literally never changes.
Okay, let's step it up a notch. Section 5, Embedded Relative Clauses.
Now for a slightly more advanced trick. A relative clause can actually split the main clause directly in half, so you can describe a noun immediately. Like, if your main sentence starts with a noun, you don't want to wait until the end of the sentence to describe it, right? You literally pry the main sentence open, drop the relative clause right inside, and then finish your main sentence.
Let's test this out. We have Anton is nett. Anton is nice. And lebt in Berlin. He lives in Berlin. Now, I want my main idea to be that Anton lives in Berlin, but I want to sneak in the fact that he is nice directly after his name. How do we embed that clause?
And this brilliantly illustrates that embedded structure. Anton, der nett ist, lived in Berlin. Look super closely at the punctuation here. We have Anton, then a comma. Then we open our relative clause. Der nett ist, verb at the end of that clause, of course, followed by another comma, and then we simply resume the main clause, lived in Berlin. It's like a grammar sandwich. The relative clause is totally enclosed by commas, sitting right there in the middle, perfectly describing Anton before the rest of the sentence even happens.
Wrapping things up here with Section 6. Level up with Deutsch lingo. If you found this explainer helpful, trust me, this is just the beginning. Deutsch Lingo is the creator of this content, and we're your place for German online lessons on the web. We have lessons for all levels, and they're all designed with the exact same structured, clear approach you experience today. So, check us out at www.deutschlingo.com to truly level up your German fluency.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a little puzzle to think about. Today, you totally mastered the nominative case, where the relative pronoun acts as the subject. But what happens to that pronoun when the noun in the relative clause is the direct object? What happens when we enter the accusative case? How does our cheat sheet change then? Think about it, and be sure to join us for our next explainer where we'll crack that exact code together. Until next time, keep practicing, and we'll see you soon.